Hi everyone, I'm Vone Kevitz, knit and crochet designer for one-of-a-kind makers who dare to be original. And I have someone super, super special. Like, this is the absolute first. And Mariah Secrest-Comer, you are such a gem in my life, and I'm so glad that you said yes to this creative interview. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here and so excited that you asked me. Thank you for inviting
Yes.
me.
Tell everybody who you are.
My name is Mariah, and I am kind of obsessed with all things related to wellness, particularly wellness that helps us show up better in everyday life. So I have certifications. I teach yoga, barre, Pilates. I'm a master trainer for barre, meaning that I go out and certify other people in barre. I run studios and wellness resort programs, but my main thing is really helping people dispel that myth that whatever they do for themselves is at the detriment to something else, because studies show that when we are functioning at our best, when we're happy, when we're healthy, then everything else that we do for our families, for our work, for our creative pursuits ends up benefiting from that. So I love helping people just kind of find that practical sweet spot where they can invest in themselves and show up in the best way without feeling like they have to spend like all day long on it.
Yes, so true and so good. I'm gonna really enjoy this time just picking your brain at this. I've been following. I'm a part of Raya's program. What was the name of signature?
So so you joined way back when the Boss Body System, and then
Yes,
you're in my meal planning mastery too.
yes, I am. Which we are definitely going to talk about that because I highly recommend that. The meal planning mastery. That is such an awesome course and so practical, and you learn so many like mind-blowing tips. I've actually linked you guys. If you guys ever saw an older video I had talking about Trello, where I believe you, Mariah, you're the one that's put me on the path of Trello, and
I got a convert.
and showed me like all the possibilities of that program. But it was so smart and so the one thing that I struggle with the most on that meal planning is obviously the prep day, the
Yeah.
you know, but and then ideas, and I think so we could like you know what, let's just go get right into this meal
Let's
planning.
just
Yeah,
jump
let's
in.
just do it. Let's just
Yeah,
get.
why
I'm like,
not?
so you have this program. Do you release it all the time, or can they sign up whenever? Is it certain times that?
I have only been releasing it about twice a year. However, depending on the time of this release, I am going to start experimenting with releasing it on an evergreen basis. So stay tuned.
Yeah, oh,
How's
that's
that for
good.
an
So,
answer?
speaking of stay tuned, you have to get on Mariah's weekly newsletter because the awesome content you put out every single week, I absolutely love. I look forward to your emails
Oh, that is
every
so sweet
week.
of
And
you.
and and Mariah also has her own YouTube channel that you have to go follow. I will be linking everything to her stuff in the show description, and I also at the end of the video will link to her channel. So be sure to look out if you need a quickie on how to get to her YouTube channel because your content and your exercise videos are amazing.
Thank
I love
you.
following because you talk to us a little bit about that and how you even come up with each week's content.
Yeah. Well, I'm obsessed with all things low impact. So I firmly believe that you can get an awesome workout or whatever type of workout you need. Sometimes you don't need to have your butt kicked. Sometimes you need to decompress and lengthen your muscles or just relax your mind. So everything that I put on my channel is going to be low impact, meaning that you're not doing a ton of hopping or kind of pounding your joints, because I'm all about getting workouts that are going to keep your body working and in good condition for the rest of your life, as opposed to not making them work as well. So I'm a big fan of kind of batching content. Just, I believe everything flows better from there, and you can kind of get into the zone when you're doing that. So I will typically plan my workouts a month in advance, or the workouts that I do for YouTube. I try to have like a mix. I primarily, I would say maybe 50% bar, and then maybe like 25% Pilates and 25% yoga. I'll throw in, I'm a personal trainer as well, so sometimes I'll throw in some more traditional you know, upper body workouts or weight workouts or just kind of body weight workouts as well. But I kind of, I mean, on the techie side, I kind of look at what keywords people are looking for, so I can kind of get an idea of what people are wanting and needing that fits what I do. And then I try to get creative, give people a range of things. I've got workouts as short as 8 minutes. I've got workouts as long as, you know, almost an hour, just so that I can serve people, you know, where they're at, because not everyone has to do a grueling hour-long workout every day.
And I'm so glad that you actually do offer that, because that is what's one refreshing thing about your channel, is because sometimes I have like 8 minutes that I just want to stretch something, or I love the one you did a couple of weeks ago about relaxing and prepping for bedtime.
Yep.
So good, you know, because I work a full-time job and I'm doing this as a side hustle, and you know that lifestyle as well, because
I do.
this is how we've got on each other's radars to begin with.
Exactly.
Because her Instagram page is Wellthy Boss. Like that name is just killer, by the way. When you made that name change, I was just like, that is her brand to a T. So that was so smart, so smart. I absolutely love it. And that's what it is, because it's you're to try to balance that mindset, you know what I mean? And the stress, like I can, even on days where I try not to do so much, or even on days where I don't, I will have weeks and months of like no ideas, no creativity.
Yeah.
But in the back of my head, I'm feeling guilty of all the things that, you know what I mean, that I should be doing. So even on the day, even at the time that I'm taking a break, I'm not. Like,
no.
You know that. You just went through a whole like month of self-care, like,
yes, beginning of the year.
you know what I mean? I absolutely loved watching that, because that was so inspirational. I'm like, I need to literally mimic her.
Thank you. I will say it was several years coming, because I know that like taking a whole month of self-care is not super realistic for most people, but the timing had aligned. We're in the process of moving, and I knew, just knowing myself, I could jump in. There were a million things I wanted to do, but I was feeling honestly a little bit of burnt out of my business at that point, and I just knew, okay, something's got to give, something's got to change. I was, you know, teaching self-care, but working like crazy, you know, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. So I just knew I kind of had to do it so that I could reclaim myself, which is first and foremost, but that anything good out of my business would roll out of that. So I honestly took a month, just took a month off. I did a lot of hiking. I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of meditation. I did do some just like catch up around the house, because I also firmly believe that when you kind of organize and have systems and processes that create a clean space around you and an inspiring space, that totally affects your creative energy and your ability to, you know, want to work and want it to keep going. And it was great, but it was also sometimes challenging. Like I had moments where I felt kind of almost depressed from it, because I think we can go on adrenaline so much and kind of just totally identify who we are and our value and our worth with how many things we check off our list that day, that I had to kind of readjust a little bit. And there were some quiet moments where I kind of felt like, oh my gosh, like what did I do today? Which was a good, but actually surprisingly sometimes difficult kind of headspace to be in, but totally worth it in the end.
Yeah, I find that challenging too. Like, you know, like there are days where especially on weekends, where, see, because of the 40-hour work week, and you know what I mean, the stress, and then trying to do things at night, and then you get to a point where I can't even do anything at night, because I give everything to my day job, that I have nothing to give to myself at night, you know, and then like days and days go by, but then on the weekend, I'm like, okay, on the weekend is when I'm going to jam it all in, get as much done. And that is like the worst.
It's so stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And I set really high expectations, like, oh, this weekend is going to be, and we've got to scale back on those expectations of ourselves, because we'll always just end up feeling defeated, and not even scaling back, like just giving ourselves what we need and giving the tasks that we take on their proper space. So, I've let a lot of projects go over the past year. I let my podcast go. There were times, that I did all the things you're not supposed to do as the content marketer, and, had to stop posting just because there were only so many hours of the day. And I've kind of learned to give myself a little bit of grace with that. Because at the end of the day, you're only one person, and your creativity and your mental well-being, like everything that you do stems from that. So if you don't have that, what's the point?
Exactly. I'm so glad you talked a little bit about that, because I did the same thing throughout. Like, I just kept doing so much that, to the point where I'm actually at the opposite stage, where I've scaled back so much that I'm so far scaled back that I don't know how to get myself, like, you know what I mean, to move forward without thinking that I need to scale it back.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, I just feel like I think that's where I'm at right now, where I feel like I've done so much, and it physically and mentally, it depleted me. I was, my health became like so bad from it, because I wasn't taking care of myself. My health was the last issue. Sleep, lack of sleep, everything was just plummeting. And the food choices I was making, obviously not exercising, because who had time to exercise when you have so much to do, and then all of a sudden, like, you're wondering, like, your whole year, and you're like feeling so beat up. You're like, almost, you have to start from somewhere. Actually, let's do that. So what, for women like me, who are doing that, or even stay-at-home moms that don't have a job, but they actually do have a job,
you never can just turn it off and walk
ridiculously
away.
important job that doesn't shut down, that they don't get bathroom breaks for, that they don't get a free lunch hour to say to the boss, no, you don't bother me for this time. Their boss is a lot more demanding than that.
Exactly.
What is your tip for people, like the beginning steps of how to scale back? And so I'm run down, I'm burnt out. Where do I go? Where do I start, Mariah?
Start with what feels good. I think we put more pressure on ourselves that exercise or self-care, healthy habits, which to me is really what self-care is just one more thing on our to-do list, one more measure that we could fall short of. So if we can kind of turn that mindset a little bit to say, what would feel good to me? Treating exercise, treating movement, treating healthy habits as a whole, as something that is, an indulgence, which it's really not, because we know it's making us better. But, shifting that tide from, I've got to do, X just to feel like I'm a good person and doing everything that's expected of me, to starting with what feels good. In my, even now, if we're going through big transitions, my husband and I just moved back. We were living part-time in San Diego for his work. Now we're transitioning back to Arizona full-time. And, that takes a toll. So I, give myself grace to go on hikes or go on walks. And maybe, if I'm not feeling like weightlifting, maybe I just go for a walk that day. So even I have ebbs and flows and seasons. So I definitely recommend that you start with what feels good, with no pre-attached notion of how long it should take. Maybe it's not even exercise. Maybe it's sleep. I mean, so much research and study is now coming out about how detrimental a sleep deficit can be, that you can't out exercise a sleep deficit. So starting with those healthy habits, whether it's hydration, whether it's sleep, whether it's stretching, whether it's taking a walk, whether it's sitting and breathing for 5 minutes, start with what feels good instead of what you feel like you should be or ought to be doing, like someone is keeping score, because no one's keeping score.
I absolutely love that starting tip, because that is what we do. When we feel like, when we're so run down, we're at the bottom, we're like, okay, this is how we're gonna get ourselves back up, and we end up doing all these task lists, in our head, and then we fall short from it, or it doesn't sustain, and then we've just become another failure again. And then, you know what I mean? And we just end up setting ourselves back further. I love that idea. I'm actually going to really that's actually what I wrote down when you said that, because doing things that make me feel good, you know what I mean, is an indulgence that I actually have to pursue. Because so it's, the things that I've been doing lately is getting up early every morning, so that I can I just, starting in February, I've been consistently getting up like 30 minutes earlier than before, I go to work, and then it wasn't enough time. So I'm to the point where I have like 2 hours before I'm supposed to even jump in the shower.
Right.
Get ready
Yeah.
for work, you know what I mean? Just so that I can do things in the morning. And half the time, how I even became about that and not hit the snooze button anymore was because I started not following other people's morning routines,
Yep.
but just doing the morning routine that works for me, or that
Yes.
got me wanting to wake up in the morning.
Yes, because some of those morning routines, my gosh, they're like 17 steps and you're exhausted.
And you're like, what the heck? Exactly. And then, and the other thing is, I would love to be one of those people that got up in the morning and did like a hard cardio in the morning so that I can get the sweat out and the shower in that order, you know what I mean? And start my day. But I am just not physically that person in the morning.
Right.
Like that jumping jacks is not what I'm going to think.
Right.
You know what I mean? And pounding on my body is just not. So once I shifted that whole thought, was me getting up, enjoying my cup of coffee, letting the dogs out, and then maybe turn on the computer, maybe open a book, maybe journal, maybe play with my phone, maybe do something, you know what I mean? Indulgent, just something that makes me want to get up in the morning. And some of them are wasteful, some of them are not. And then, but then at the offset of that was sleep. Right, was the lack of sleep. So now I'm trying to find this balance where, okay, if I'm not getting my 7, minimum 6, possibly 8, but those are very rare. I can aim for it, but just mathematically, it's just not possible one way or another. But so now I'm like scaling back from my morning routines to the point where if I'm up way too late, or if I cannot get those hours sleep, then I can't indulge in that 5 a.m. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to balance.
So bad. I am so in love with sleep these days, and I am sleeping in now that my schedule has allowed me to sleep in a little bit more. I'm sleeping and I'm loving it. It is definitely making me a happier, healthier person. Now I go to bed really early, so I kind of have to reverse engineer that, but sleep is so important. And one of my favorite experts on sleep is Sean Stevenson. So he has a book and a podcast, both of which are phenomenal. His book is Sleep Smarter, and his podcast is more general health coaching and wellness, the Model Health Show. But if you're really looking on super practical tips and reasons that it's okay to sleep in the morning, I would highly recommend his book, Sleep Smarter. And it really, I've always tried to value sleep, but it really, even more so now, if I'm not going to have to choose between sleep and exercise, it's a toss-up, but oftentimes I will realize that sleep may actually be the better choice.
That's a great, that makes me feel a lot better too on that. So speaking of, so you go to bed early, how do you shut down at night? Like what is your night routine?
Yeah, so we're pretty simple. We usually, unless we have a TV show that we're especially hooked on, usually my husband and I will try to shut technology off by about 8. And then it's usually just reading. I'm a old school book. Everything else I do digitally. I keep my to-do list digitally, but I do like old school, just paper books, because I do try to stay away from screens for the last 30, 40, even 60 minutes before bed. Sometimes I was in a habit for a long time of taking a hot Epsom salt bath with lavender before bed. I've kind of fallen away from that recently, but certainly just reading typically. If it's nice out, we may sit outside and sit with dogs and just kind of talk for a little bit. But we usually do try to shut off technology for about an hour before bed and get in bed with an old school book.
Oh, that's good. I'm a big physical book person myself too. I'm a huge fan of Audible, because I love listening and books.
For the drive.
Yes, for my drive. Like I think that was one of the biggest shifts that I had just as an entrepreneur, that even because I used to listen to music, and then I shifted to listening to audiobooks and that, like, getting that extra education and pep talk in the morning, or opening up my mind, like, it just changed everything for me. So I'm a huge fan of Audible, but I'm also a huge fan of books, and
Yeah.
I have to get back to that. Maybe reading at night is
Yeah.
My next new strategy. So, uh, to go back to that meal planning mastery, tell us a little bit about that program if anybody's interested in that, because I love it and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. So what I love and why I created this process, it's not actually a nutrition program, but it's going to help you with your nutrition so much, because what I find for most people is it's not a disconnect of necessarily knowledge. Like most of it, at least to some degree, right? Most of us know eating more fruits and vegetables would probably be a good idea. Most of us know eating fewer French fries would probably be a good idea. So the disconnect is in knowing it and doing it. So with
Mhm.
my meal planning mastery, I actually didn't even set out to make it a course. It was just something that I was doing for myself and my husband. We knew what the healthy choices. I mean, we're both personal trainers. Like, we know stuff, but still at the end of a long day, it was way too easy to just grab, like a frozen Trader Joe's pizza and pop that in the oven and say, hey, it has like a tablespoon of vegetables. That counts, right?
Yeah.
So my meal planning mastery, I created as a way to streamline the meal planning process, the grocery shopping process, and then the actual prep process, so that
Mhm.
you're just treating it like you would, like, for those of those of your listeners or viewers that have businesses. It's just treating it like a business process. Those of us who have day jobs, we have checklists and recurring things that we do every week or every month. It's just treating it like that, so that we're not constantly thinking, oh, what should I eat for dinner tonight? What should I do? What do I need at the grocery? It's
Mhm.
really streamlining and kind of nerding out on some of the just planning portion of that, so that you don't have to come up with a new meal plan every single week. You know exactly what you need from the grocery, and you're not going to forget anything, because we've got this cool little grocery shop like duplication list. And at the end of the day, you're going to spend a lot less time cooking and have more food that's already stocked, so that when you do have something that derails you, and your kids had to go to the emergency room and now it's 7 p.m. and you haven't started cooking, or that work project took a lot longer than you thought, you already have something and you're not so tempted to go through the drive-through. If you have healthy food already in the house and already planned and it's easy, you're probably going to eat it.
Yes, and that's exactly what makes it so amazing about it is half the time, like, I've always been I don't want to say bad food eater, but not nutritionally, you know what I mean, better choices for me kind of eating. And so when I actually have better choices in front of me and ready to go, I make those choices. And it's easier to make
Exactly.
those choices as opposed to, okay, because we're, I don't even think you need to be a business owner to be busy. You just need to
No.
be alive.
You
And we're
like-
busy right now. Everybody is busy. You know what I
yes.
mean? With just, with everything and with having access to everything and not ever being able to shut off our minds, not being able to shut off at all. Like,
Yes.
we are all busy. And so
Yes.
the trade-off of what is depleting energy from our brain, you know,
Yes.
is, so when it comes to, and we give it to everything else, we give, you know what I mean, everything else takes our attention to our brain.
Yes.
But when it comes to food, that's one of the things we do mindlessly, because we have to do
We
it so
do.
much, we have to do it so automatically, that we end up automatically making the worst choices,
Yes.
unless we're smart enough to prep the better choices ahead of time,
Yes.
in which case we will
100%.
mindlessly make the better choice every
Exactly. I
time.
love how you said that. We will
Right.
mindlessly make the better choice,
Mhm.
100%.
Right.
Because most unhealthy food is easier than healthy food, right? You can run and grab
Yes.
drive. You can grab something from the frozen aisle. You can, order order Domino's,
Mhm.
where it's a little bit harder, depending on where you live, to just order up a healthy salmon salad. So
Yes.
yes, if you take the guesswork out of it, then, as you said, I love how you put that, you will
Mhm.
default to the healthy choice because it's there.
Mhm.
There have honestly been times because I followed the meal planning mastery system, there have been times when I was craving something, maybe, you know, a little bit less nutrition you know, nutrition conscious on the spectrum, but because I knew I had already prepped healthy food at home, it was literally easier for me to go home and eat that healthy food. And so I'm like, it's actually going to take more time to go through the drive-through. All I have to do is pop that in the oven.
Exactly. And that's why I loved your program, and that's why I love it. Because I don't do it to a T, but the principles, you adopt a lot of your principles that's helped me, you know what I mean? And there have been times where if I'm really good, then I really love it. But there are times where I'm not very good, but I still like keep the principles to it. And
no one follows it perfectly. I don't follow it either.
And so,
it's a framework.
But I do love the options, because when you actually take that time ahead of time, like, so now I have like defaults that I do know, you know what I mean, to follow. Like I have like recipes that, you know, and these are your like not your recipes, these are the person's recipes that you guys tailor it to your taste buds, you tailor it to your family's needs, and then you use the program to help you to streamline everything better. And that it does it, you take the guesswork out of it, so that you have like ready to go, and it's genius, you know what I mean? And the reason why I'm such a fan, because I know the audience that watches my shows, and I know the people that follow me, and their what they go through and what their struggles are, and I know this program will help them. You know, just like it helps me, and that's why that's why I'm passionate about it. You know, we were just talking about, so I don't have a microwave. Speaking of reheating, I don't have a microwave in the house. We did away with microwaves years ago.
Wow.
How do you reheat your food?
You know, I would love to say that I don't use a microwave, but I'm human. I do. You know, if I've planned out ahead, my ideal thing is I take food out from the freezer the night before. If I've batched things that are frozen, and then pop it in the oven, and then it's defrosted, and then pop it in the oven to reheat for, you know, 10 or 20 minutes. But I will use a microwave. I would love not to, but I also try to give myself grace. Hey, at least I'm eating some vegetables and I'm getting some healthy food in my body. So I always kind of look at, you know, I mean, we could spend all day, right? I could grow my own vegetables, and I mean, there's always another step we could be taking. I do think avoiding the microwave as much as possible is awesome. Will I use it in a pinch? I'll use it in a pinch.
That's actually the reason why I got rid of it from the house, is because at work I will reheat my, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Like I'll reheat it at work. Like, so, but the reason why we finally made the decision away from home is the fact that I didn't want to use it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time, everywhere. You know what I mean? And that's why, so taking it out of my house eliminated my all the time. So when I did, it would be at work or in, you know what I mean, in situations that I needed to. And then every other time it was through the pots and the pans and it's just a little bit more. Well, my husband is adamant, which this is why it forces me to, I'm gonna have to heat his food the long way, the hard way, or the healthier way anyways, and then I would pop mine in the microwave.
Oh, how funny.
Do you know what I mean? And that's why I'm like, so I was like, okay, there's a disconnect somewhere. I'm gonna need to, you know, so that's why I do the cheat at work, and then, you know, at home I'll do the smarter way about it. But right, you actually said something really like this, that I love the fact that you're like, I'm human, and this is the reason why I've just always been captivated by you, is your what's the word, your signature for balance has always drawn me to you, is because you always like help me ground me back into that's right. Because I remember one time I messaged you on Instagram or Facebook a long time ago in your Facebook group, where I said something about eating bad, and you just dispelled the word bad food to me.
I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like calling food good or bad.
And I'm like, and after that I was like, I've like that message really stuck with me, you know what I mean? And that's why even just earlier when I mentioned that, I was like, you know, when I eat, it's not bad food, but like not nutritious, you know?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
lacking in
Yeah.
the nutrition part of it, because the food isn't bad. It's not, you know,
Yeah.
but, and so I just
No
love
moral
that.
assignment what we eat, right?
Yes, I love that you are always like reminding me to balance things out and everything. So
Yeah.
so
Well,
what
it's
do you have
important.
coming up? Hmm?
I mean, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
It's
no, go ahead.
important to me because there are so many things. There's so many ways that we put pressure on ourselves as humans. There's so many ways in which we get our value through our perfection. And as a recovering perfectionist, it's really important to me, to just strip it back and say, we do these things so that we can live better, so that we can be happier, not so that we can be perfect and then feel good about ourselves. At the end of the day, it's about loving and accepting ourselves and treating ourselves well because of that. So I think, my mission for that sense of balance really kind of dives deeper into my own struggles with perfectionism and really wanting people to just accept themselves for where they are. Because at the end of the day, no amount of, even if you ate perfectly and exercised an hour a day and did everything, quote unquote, right, if that's the only reason that you feel good about yourself, then there's something still missing underneath. So I really want to start with that foundation of self-love.
That is great. And I too am a recovering perfectionist. And that's where all the root of all my procrastinating comes into play.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how, I've always known, like I always took pride in the fact that I was like the number one procrastinator of all times. You know what I mean? Like, not that I took pride in it, but I knew that I wore the crown. like, like whether I claimed it or not, the crown is still on my head as the number one procrastinator of all times.
That's hilarious.
That I discovered that the root of my procrastinating was my perfectionism,
Yes.
you know what I mean, and me trying to put everything off because it wasn't perfect, or wait for this perfect scenario, or and that is such a hard, if you could talk a little bit more about that, because that is such a hard thing for me to, and since you recover from the same thing here.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's never enough. And of course, this kind of starts to dig a little bit deeper into, our sense of spirituality and humanity, but it's never enough. We can set those standards and we can feel really good about ourselves if we're following everything. And it's not just limited to our business. I mean, those of us who are perfectionists, we carry that over into every area of our lives. It's our families, it's our relationships, it's our work, it's our physical appearance, it's our health. And it's exhausting. Like, even if you were to hit, 99% of those things, you're going to be exhausted. You're not going to feel good at the end of the day. So I'm just a big believer in, we always want to strive and do better. And I really believe you can do both. That kind of like for a long time felt like a disconnect. Like, how can I be content and happy, but then also be ambitious and want to really live at my best? And I'm really finding that the more that we are able to kind of love and accept ourselves, the more we're able to excel from there, because it comes from a healthy place.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm at the same boat too, because that's been my struggle too, is recovering from perfectionism and trying to fight through that, and trying to beat procrastination in fear of not being perfect, you know what I mean, or waiting for that perfect timing. At the same time, to be content and to not strive, there is like a disconnect, and I'm like in that same course of, always wanting to be better. That's why I love self-development books. I'm always trying to improve myself and grow myself and be the best version of myself. Like, that's my honest to God, my goal every morning is, how can I be the best version of myself? How do I show up for myself in the best way possible? And many days I fall short. But that's always been my goal, is to do so. And then somewhere along the line, I just like started to learn to, why not, if I don't have to be perfect, if I don't have to wait for the perfect time, and if I'm supposed to do things right now instead of that and not procrastinate, then the only choice I have is to just enjoy the moment, live in the moment, you know what I mean? And just be here and be present. And that's why I've been doing a lot of things to try to stay in the present and not worry about the future, not worry about the past. and half the time, like I will remind my husband, like when we get into a stressful situation, where he's like, okay, we can't do anything about the future, we can't do anything about the past. All we can do is right now. What is right now? And I'm not saying it to him or reminding, or even when I give the same advice to other people, I'm not telling them because I'm better at that. It's because I'm reminding myself of that same
constant. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm reminding myself of that same thing at that very same moment as I'm saying it out loud to whoever I'm happen to be talking to.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's my message to myself that you just happen to hear.
Yes.
And say it to you. It's really what do you have coming up now? So
I'm diving a little bit deeper into the fitness side these days. So I've been having so much fun putting out weekly workouts on YouTube and on my website. So, every week I'm releasing a new Pilates, yoga, bar, Balletone, which is the latest thing that I'm now teaching, which is this cardio ballet, which is super fun. So I'm putting those workouts out every week, and I'm pretty excited because this summer I plan to release, without giving away all the details, a seven-day program that's going to combine yoga, Pilates, bar, as well as some spiritual meditations and journaling, and just a time to carve out, a 1 week kind of jump start to get back to caring for yourself and putting your health and both your physical and your mental well-being as a priority.
That's awesome. That sounds really, really good. So you're going to add the link to that coming up. So a 7-day starter.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I'll reveal the name because I think by the time we publish this,
by the time this posts, you will have all the details.
We'll be ready to roll. So I'm calling it the 7-day ME-tox. So I'm not a big fan of detoxes because I think they tend to be too stringent. So instead, I'm doing a self-care focused 7-day ME-tox with a daily workout. We'll have some other fun surprises, some journaling prompts, some introspective assignments. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, you're going to feel just really, really good. They're going to be doable, they're going to be sustainable, and you're going to have a lot of just fun surprises and support along the way.
That is so great. I'm definitely going to do that.
Yay.
I'm going to sign up. You guys, if you guys are going to sign up, the link is below in the description, and leave a comment. Let us know who's joining. Let us know who's going to do this, because I love that title is already killer. 7-day ME-tox, because detox is such a it does have a harsh, because I try to do a lot of detoxing myself, because I'm I feel like I hold so much in, and I'm just not talking about physical detoxing, just like I have to mentally detox, I have to phone digitally detox, I have to physically clutter detox, I just all that. So we're always kind of in this quest to be better, to get rid of, but I do love the me is how do we incorporate, how do we gain, and you know what I mean, absorb, how can we enrich in a different way, you know what I mean? And so I definitely love that concept. So I'm definitely going to join. You guys go ahead and join in and leave it in the comment, and follow Mariah in all of her platforms. And Mariah, thank you so much for doing this. This has been amazing. If you guys have any questions for her or anything, you know what I mean, definitely send her a DM. She's so supportive and accessible, and and the YouTube channel, those videos, go support her and go do some of them, because they're awesome. I love doing them, and I love the fact that you have the different range. Some days there's an hour, sometimes it's 8 minutes, sometimes it's 10, and sometimes it's weeks goes by, but definitely go back, because you're always putting out new content and they're always so good.
Thank you.
Thanks, and thank you. And you guys, until next time, make sure you like this video, share, support, and Mariah, your YouTube channel is going to be should pop up any second now, and so go find that and go check out her channel. Perfect. Until next time, guys. God bless. Thank you, Mariah.
Thank you. Bye, Vone.